Alright, today I'm going to talk about the Oakland Raiders. I'm going to go through a little bit of their past, present, and why I think they're struggling in the NFL today. When I talk about the Raiders, I want you to keep in mind and pay attention to the things I talk about before. I want you to have this image. Alright, when I talk about their past, I'm going to try and build this image. I want you to imagine this image and who they were back in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, today. Alright. The Oakland Raiders were founded in 1990. They were first coach, then later owned by Al Davis, who is currently the owner today. Al Davis is a Hall of Famer today. He's one of the most respected and disrespected owners of the NFL. He's famous for his pledge to build the finest professional team in sports. And to some he's done that, and to some he's made a junky team. Because the Raiders throughout their history have been known to be a dirty football team. But for years and years, since the 60s up to 2002, I should say, the Raiders have been one of the most winning football teams in the NFL. Some of the great players the Raiders have had is Bo Jackson, Marcus Allen, Tim Brown, Rich Gannon, all Raider greats, 3 of which are in the Hall of Fame. One of the things Sports Illustrated and commentators, Sports Center, you name it, what they used to say is the Raiders versus anybody was a great game. It was the Raiders versus the NFL. Since the Raiders were the most winning team in the NFL, everyone saw them as a great matchup. One of the things the Raiders were famous for is the deep bomb. They were always famous for having great quarterbacks that go deep and receivers that were really fast to run. And that's what they got famous for, was the deep bomb and a dirty defense. The Raiders have gone through winning streaks such as since 2000, 2001, 2002. That was the last 3 seasons when they were rolling on all cylinders, if you will. You can see the record since 2000, 2001, 2002. 12-4, 10-6, 11-5. All 3 of those seasons, the Raiders won their division and went to the playoffs. The first year, 2000, they went to the AFC Championship game where they lost to the Ravens. The following year, the Raiders went to the playoffs and lost to the Patriots in a divisional playoff game on the famous tuck rule, another thing the Raiders are famous for. In 2002, the Raiders went to the Super Bowl. And they're the only team to make it to the Super Bowl in 4 different decades. Another thing they are famous for. So when I talk about that, the Raiders were when I say the best team, literally they were one of the best teams. They were highly respected. They were feared, if you will, and they were known for being nasty and just outright outrageous. However, in the Super Bowl of 2002, the Raiders lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 48-21. The star quarterback, who I mentioned earlier, one of their best players in their team history, threw 5 INTs, 3 of which were returned for touchdowns. Since that point, quarterback Rich Gannon, Tim Brown, and the other star receiver Jerry Rice have all retired. 3 of the Raiders' key players. The Raiders have since then tried to pick up another quarterback like Jamarcus Russell, who I will talk about shortly. They've picked up Hayward Bay. I can't remember his first name, but he's supposed to be the star wide receiver, and as I'll show you talk about later, isn't making much of an impact. And they picked up a running back named Darren McFadden, all 3 of who are supposed to make a big positive impact. Now, since the Super Bowl, you can see the records. They've gone a consistent losing streak: 4-12, 5-11, 4-12, 2-14, 4-12, 5-11. The Raiders have gone from one of the best teams in the NFL to one of the jokes in the NFL. Nobody respects the Raiders. I saw on SportsCenter an analyst named Steve call the Raiders one of the worst teams in the NFL. That's a big disrespectful thing to say to the Raiders, considering they were one of the best teams back in 2002. Things truly change. Now, as I talked about Jamarcus Russell, he's not mature, he's not a leader, and that's really what you need for the Raiders need to win games. Really, it's the offense, in my opinion, that's really struggling. It's really hurting them. You can see with their stats: 9.8 points a game, 122.1 yards, 215 yards a game, and only running for 93 yards per game with the running game. Now statistics you want to have. I'm running short on time here, so basically what I'm just going to say is for the offense, again, Jamarcus Russell, he's got to go. He's not a leader. He's holding the offense back. He's inaccurate. He doesn't blame himself. He's putting the blame on other people. Not what you want as a leader, not what the quarterback's supposed to be doing. So I'm really going to say he's a bust. And he's really why I think the Raiders are struggling. Because I don't have a problem with their defense or their offense, but really it's just their quarterback job, because he's the one who controls the offense. I'm going to have to stop there. A little past. Thank you.